Hi, it's Silva the Whack again. 2 vlogs in a day. Uh, yeah, seems like that might be something I'll do. But I will probably post this in the evening. It is now 2:50 p.m. Uh, yeah, I ended up not leaving the house. I was not notified of this beforehand, but my mum had to go take my male progenitor to an appointment. So, given that I don't have a driver's license and the weather is rainy, I can't go to the library, which means that I can't resend the file to my profs, and I also can't keep working properly uh, because this computer is just miss after miss. You know, the T calendar was hit after it. This is just hit miss after miss and after miss. If I decided to try and keep translating from this computer, I would probably be wasting my time because then it would crash and I would lose everything. And not only that, I would not be able to even save this to a USB stick or send it to my email, which is what I do at the library to be safe. Yeah, so now I'm kind of upset and hoping for my calming pill to kick in. And I took a shower to calm down as well. Uh, yeah, this is my hair when I wash it. It still looks kind of weird and whack, but when it's dry, you'll see that it doesn't look as bad as as when I show up in the morning. And I have another cup of coffee, right here, because we have an espresso machine in the house. But I was trying to get that thing to work, and I could not. So instant coffee it is, but this time it's the Nescafe uh, variant, not the little variety. So this one is a bit stronger, and it will help me warm my hands because this house is very cold. Uh, yeah, let me pause this so that this doesn't end up really long. Uh, Before I return, if you're wondering why I'm wearing the same pajamas, that's because uh, I shower and put them back on since they're not dirty. Uh, I shower every day, believe it or not. Um, but washing pajamas every single day would mean that I would run out of pajamas pretty fast, since I have like three, four winter pajamas sets. Yeah, and sometimes I just improvise with old sweaters slash jumpers that I have, and old pajama pants that no longer have the top part because that like disintegrated over time, since all of these are old, like older than 10 years in some cases. I don't even remember when I got this one from my cousin. Um, the newest one is that light pink one. So yeah, it's kind of not really a choice to keep like repeating the pajamas for like maybe a week, yeah, 5 days, 5 days, since they don't get dirty. Like I put them back on uh, after showering, so it's fine. I guess, I don't know. Nothing has happened so far, so I suppose it's fine. Yeah, that's the reason. I'm not a filthy pig, friend. Trust me, and also please do not send me pajamas in the mail. I appreciate the socks though. uh, I am back, and I have a beautiful art piece to show. Looks like a fever dream. Yeah. Uh, you know, everyone starts somewhere, right? Right. And this is, of course, my uh, Red Riding Hood book that I use as a base for basically anything. Base for basically anything? Yeah. My meds seem to have clicked in. Yes, kicked in. I was thinking about click as in there is one YouTuber called Click, and I quite enjoy his content. But I was thinking about the click of when you really get the grasp of things like, crochet and drawing and knitting and stuff like that. And then you can see my hair is almost dry. It's looking nice, doesn't it? And then in the morning, it just looks like ass. And it's not because I don't change my bedding. I do. My hair is just rubbish. I need to get my hands on some minoxidil at some point. Yeah. I also wanted to go to the pharmacy to uh, give them my prescription, but I didn't go, obviously. I don't know if I said this in the first part of the video, but I'm saying it now. Uh, mm, yeah, I'm back. I was just, yeah, apparently waiting for my neighbor to start using the drill. Gosh, darn. Yeah, no, I was just warming my hands. And also, like, yeah, appreciate how nice this hair can look right after washing because I let it dry natural. Surprise, the hair is actually curly. Um, but then the following day it's just a mess. So yeah, usually I just rub some water in it to let the curls come through when I don't want to tie it, since that makes it fall out even more. And yeah, I don't want that. I mean, I would be fine with a wig, but yeah, people have cursed my hair enough, like when I was a kid, which is really weird. They used to be, sorry, put the hand in front of the camera, which is right there. I should remember that. they used to be really jealous because I had like really thick curly hair, and now it's just a stringy mess because the hormonal things. Uh, and I don't want to do anything about that. So minoxidil it is. And yeah, I will pick up my project, do a couple more rows. I just turn the computer off and back on. Uh, and I'll also be making more bookmarks. And hmm, I'm not sure what I'll do with them because I sell books online, like books that I no longer use or read or I've read. Uh, I don't sell very many because, if I bought them and considering that I'm not rich, it's because I wanted to have them. But some of them are really old, and some of them are dictionaries that I no longer use. So I just put them online on a second hand, one of those second hand websites uh, for a much lower price than I originally paid for them. Uh, and yeah, well, that doesn't make a lot of money, but it's a source of income, even if it's just a little bit. I should also go and hit my neighbor in the head with a hammer because that motherfucker is now hammering things. Good golly, Miss Molly. I'm joking. I'm not going to hammer anyone. That didn't sound right. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Uh, but I will be doing a couple more rows of my work and then make some more bookmarks and yeah, advertise them as a bonus with my books. Yeah, drilling. Why the hell do so many activities involving power tools can be used to describe naughty things? Hmm. Yeah, that's strange. Food for thought. Not. I don't really want to think about it. And the bells are tolling. Someone died. Yeah, I know someone died because my brother just told me that he passed by our uncle and he said that he was going to a funeral. So yeah, that's why the bells are tolling. And I live in a rural context, so we hear this all the time, unfortunately. And it's a very strange phenomenon, I would say, that people who are ill tend to live past the holidays. Uh, I suppose this person died last night, which was the day the kings of the East allegedly arrived in the Middle East to give baby Jesus the gifts of, what was it? Gold, incense, and myrrh. Not murder, like that fine. Yeah. the hell are they drilling? You know that their house is made of adobe. You know what adobe is? It's basically like, how do I explain this? It's a paste that's not like cement or concrete. It's a paste made of sand and um, some other substance that gives it a consistency, like a mildly hard consistency. Uh, I mean, the house has stood the test of time and elements. I will give it that. But you have to be very careful when drilling those walls because, you know, it just crumbles because it's not like a brick or something like that. It just crumbles like a cookie. I don't know, maybe they're not drilling into the walls, maybe they're drilling into something else. This is getting long again, and honestly, I don't give a shit. This is me showing you, my friend, since you don't use Instagram, that my hair can look like a dramatic poet as well. And also Bob Dylan if I do faces like this. A young Bob Dylan. Uh, must be that Jewish in my bloodline. Because I have direct Middle East uh, roots. Yeah. And most of my family are dark skinned, but I just look like a ghost. Because I have like a crap ton of moles, and you can see some of them in the viewfinder. There's a lot more. Oh, you can actually see them. Yeah, see? There's plenty. And I have a constellation. uh, Ursa Minor, I think. On my bicep. Yeah. Hey, babe. Wanna see me flexing my Ursa Minor? How to pull astrology, babes. It's true though. Can I. Wait. I mean, yeah, it's kind of hard to see it, but this is part of it. This 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 cluster right here, it's part of it, and it has exactly the same number of uh, dots as the constellation. Like, I find the concept of constellations fascinating, especially because I was uh, a space kid, and it's still one of my special interests to this day. I also have a fascination for aliens and stuff like that. And wait, see that grey thing right there under the Great Wall of China? The cylindrical thing? That's my telescope that I've had since I was 10. Oh, scheiße. Come out in German. Yeah. And that's a dream catcher. I have spoken about this in previous vlogs, but I will say it again in case you missed it, homie. I am not making these to sell ever, and that means ever. really like how nice and calm this looks. Look, finger slide right through it, and because it's curly, the volume gives the illusion of more hair than it actually is. Yeah. Random tangent because the ADHD meds only do so much. The reason why I don't make dream catchers to gift or to sell, selling would be just completely out of the question, and making them for someone else, uh, even as a gift, I wouldn't feel comfortable because it's not my culture. I did that because I am studying indigenous people, and one of those groups includes the Anishinaabe people of the North America, specifically the Chippewa group, uh, which is where that medicine originates. It's called a medicine, yes. Um, and most people say that it's fine. Like, the commodification of culture is a thing, and people just like, yeah, that's a thing you give children anyway. But it's a real medicine, like for those people, for that culture. Uh, Let me pull this a bit closer so that I can be heard. Sorry about my ugly face. Anyway, I just want this to be audible. Um, I've been studying indigenous peoples for my PhD, and I'm comparing and contrasting some things. And it's fascinating to see that there is not a lot to contrast because the belief system is very similar in some aspects. There are obvious differences, especially in like garments and the way uh, people produce their cultural religious items, which is based on what materials they have available in nature. Um, for example, in this case, the Anishinaabe group, they make a lot of things out of skins, of animal skins, and that's because they use everything from the animal that they hunt, which is also the case for the other group that I am studying. I will not be naming it because, confidentiality and stuff. Um, but it's fascinating to see that the belief system is pretty similar. Like, it's animism still, as in everything as energy, everything as a spirit, right? This is the case for the two groups. They have different names, but it's the same concept. And even the way that people live in harmony with nature is very similar. And also, uh, there there are gifts that are given to to nature, to the nature gods. And one thing that one group has more than the other is that one group thinks believes that humans and the deities that they believe in are the same as them. They just have power because humans chose to give them power. So it's kind of a thought form, uh, belief system, and that's what drew me in. Uh, though the North American belief system is something similar, I would say, though the deities have other traits, but it's kind of similar because their gods are not perfect, and that's something that both groups uh, emphasize. Our gods are not perfect, but if you ask them to do something for you in the right way, using the right words in the right language, you will be granted that favor. And I find that fascinating, and it's really heartbreaking to know that colonizations just the first thing that they do is always forbid people from speaking their own languages. And I'm a language major. This is now turning into a long essay, video, podcast kind of thing, but whatever. Nobody cares. Only one person or two are watching. Hey. Uh, but yeah, the reason why I wouldn't sell this is because it's not my culture to sell. Even if they say they make them out of plastic that doesn't have any power. And the reason I wouldn't make them myself to gift, even to friends I trust and know about this, is because, again, it's not my culture. Uh, so it would be really a colonizer thing to do, and that's what I'm fighting against. Like, one thing that I really tapped into while researching for this was the fact that my ethnic groups, the several that are like mixed into this creature that you're seeing right here, were once indigenous peoples. But white people tend to forget that, and then find it strange when they're like, oh, it's like something's missing from my life. Oh, and this whole Christianity thing, it's really not for me. And then some of them become really obsessed with Christianity, and that doesn't fill the void inside them, and they become really hateful. And I'm like, yeah, maybe because that's not what's spiritually yours. And I get it, I completely get it, being an atheist and not believing in spirituality in any way, shape, or form. But for indigenous peoples, spirituality is very important, and it's actually a core part of the human existence. And another thing that's very interesting to observe in the indigenous groups that still exist is that they put a lot of importance in animals, and that's why you have spirit animals, spirit guides that are animals. And you, as a white person, if you know where you come from and you research into the beliefs of your indigenous people, or the indigenous peoples your ancestors were part of, can tap into that, because that's something that, if you unravel an analogy that goes back to the yarn, if you unravel it further back enough, you'll realize that your indigenous peoples, the indigenous peoples of your ancestors, also believe that animals were their guides, and they respected the animals, and they honored them. And there was a whole thing about, like, going hunting in the forest, for example. People would gift things to the forest, to the deities of the forest. That's not the camera is here. Please remember that, Silver the Whack. you are very whack. They would go to those forests, but not before putting something there and praying to the forces of the forest to allow them into their realm. And then they would go in, and then they would come out. And that worked. And some groups still do that. And the groups that I'm studying do that. And one thing that I'm arguing for in my thesis is that in order for these peoples who have not been freed too long ago and still have direct connections with that indigeneity, is that people should be encouraged to relearn and revive their languages to be able to speak to their deities, because spirituality has always been a core part of their existence, and it's hard to pull myself out of the equation, which I know that academically is not a very good thing, but it is what it is. Let me grab my thoughts again. Right. My main argument is that since these people believe in thought form, and there is evidence to support that a thought form has power. It's like placebo. That's one of the things that I will be arguing for. That placebo works. Even if you don't want to believe in spirituality or anything, you have to believe in, Western science and stuff. And that's another point I want to make. And I should write this down, and I will be writing that down, so pause again. Yeah. Notes taken. My little cursive. I will be folding this in half. I'm putting it here so that it sticks out enough for me to not forget that it's there. Yeah, so that was some work done, which is nice. Coffee still warm. This is why my cozies are nice. And maybe I'll make some more today and gift it to the people at the library tomorrow, along with some bookmarks. Wouldn't that be nice? I think it would. Yeah. So, as I was saying about the indigenous people and spirituality, that's going to be an argument. Because if you don't believe in spirituality, then you will have to say that placebo effect is not a thing when it's scientifically proven to be a thing in Western society and with Western medicine and Western science. If I repeated that, and I don't care. But yeah, it's understandable, I suppose. At least the YouTube captions thing seems to understand it, so yeah, that's good. And yeah, the argument is that it's important to bring back spirituality and traditional practices to these people's lives, because it's been proven time and time again that um, taking these away from these peoples and replacing it with harmful addictions. I will not go into that. Not because the monetization. This channel is not monetized. Obviously, it has 4 subscribers. Yeah, it has 4 million subscribers. No, it doesn't. Um, so if you see any ads in this, just know that I'm not getting a penny for them. But that's unlikely. It's unlikely that there's any ads running in this. Um, I think my friend would have told me if there were. And since this already becoming wild and long for no reason, and now I'm just going into something that I'm interested in, and I'm divergent. I will just keep going for just a bit longer. Um, so one of the groups has successfully introduced the ancient language into the local schools. So children are learning it as a sort of second language, even though that's the language of their ancestors, and they have grandparents, great grandparents, which isn't that far in the timeline, who were native speakers of the language. So yeah, with the Anishinaabe, there are people who are still native speakers, like older people, because it wasn't. It was violent. Obviously, it was extremely violent. And one thing that always strikes me as insane when I start reading more and more and more about it is like, no wonder that place is so cursed. Like, doesn't the floor squelch with all the blood that it was built in? Or rather on. It's really heartbreaking. Sometimes I catch myself just having to stop and bawling, knowing that my people somewhere down the timeline are the ruling that. But yeah, some people are still native speakers of the language. Mostly older people. And some people learned it as a second language and became fluent in it, which is amazing. I think that's a major win. And it's great that there are some programs to make this a thing, like teaching people with indigenous backgrounds, like actual indigenous background, like not 1% this, 1% that, the American thing, blah blah blah. And it's been proven that reconnecting with the roots and finding out about your ancestor and your history as an indigenous person who has been discriminated against is very healing, because suddenly you find belonging, and that's another point. Belonging is very important, even to me, and I'm pale as a fucking sheet. I never felt like I belonged anywhere, but looking into this I found out why. And it's because I'm both neurodivergent and also never belonged anywhere, since I was tossed around different places the whole time, and I was always an outsider. Even in this country, I'm an outsider. Not just because I'm neurodivergent, but because even though I'm pale as a sheet, I don't exactly look, look. I don't exactly look like the people from here. That's because of all the mixes within my genes. Uh, yeah. And when I read that, yeah, well, white people forget that they were once indigenous peoples as well. I was like, oh, really? And I looked into the deities around me, and I was like, oh, well, that explains a lot of things, doesn't it? Because when I tapped into those deities, it like felt like something was whispering in my brain, like not in a schizophrenic kind of way, but it just felt different because it wasn't like deities that claim to be almighty, all seeing, all knowing. Uh, they were deities specifically for random things, and they had flaws like humans. And I was like, oh, so that's about. That's nice. Uh, and here's the thing, because my people were colonized and obliterated, like culturally and linguistically, over 2,000 years ago, there is no way to communicate with these deities. Unless you have like an uncanny inclination for the occult, which is my case. So I was able to kind of tap into that. And when I say that, pause, it was hard to sit with my ancestors from that time and suddenly having dreams about them, and with the help of some specific shamanic uh, sounds. And by the way, shamanic is not something exclusive to Native Americans and other indigenous groups. Like, that's one of the oldest indigenous practices, and it's prevalent in all indigenous groups, including the ones where I descend from. Uh, there's a particular beat that mimics the heartbeat and forces you to concentrate on it. And that type of focusing helped me, even as a neurodivergent person with ADHD. So I was able to trace stuff. And this is one of those things, believe it or not, it doesn't matter because it helped me. So yeah. Yeah, and suddenly, yeah, it made sense, and I was even able to speak with someone I believe was either an ancestor, like a direct ancestor or something, because I looked into this person's eyes and it was like looking into my own eyes. But this person was not, it looked nothing like me. It was just the eyes. And this person was speaking to me and telling me to stop running from these occult things and the spiritual side of my existence. And I really don't want to start fucking crying because of this. Oh god. Weirdest reason to cry on camera? Maybe. Especially in a video that's going to be 15 minutes long because in for a penny, in for a pound. Am I right? But yeah, circling back because it all goes in circles. Circling back, the Dreamcatcher is a Chippewa medicine, and it was the story goes that it was taught by the spider deity who weaved this web in a circle and added some beads and some feathers to heal a child, and then proceeded to teach all her children to do the same, to stop bad dreams from haunting children. And everyone is a child at heart. And I'm not saying this in a creepy kind of way, like, I'm saying this in a, we're all, we all have like, sparkly lights, oh, fluffy thing, that kind of thing inside of us. So having a dream catcher as an adult is not a bad thing. And I will say that when I was making this, I wasn't feeling very well, and that day I'd seen a very big spider that I just let it be because there are no venomous or poisonous. I can never tell the difference. Spiders where I am from, even though this was a really big spider, and that's what inspired me to make that. I saw that spider and I was like, oh, well, maybe this is the sign I was waiting for. Because I was like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe this is appropriation. But then I kept seeing indigenous people saying like, yeah, look, it's fine. Just get that thing if you want it. If you find it pretty, just get it. It's fine. It would be better if you got it from an actual indigenous person. Sorry. But if you want the plastic one, just go for it. It's fine. It's already been made. Just get it. But I wanted to make my own. And I did. I got a grape vine that was still kind of green. I made a loop. I tied it with cotton yarn. It's orange, but it's cotton. I made the web. I put a bit in the center, and if you see a dream catcher with more than one bead inside the hoop in the web, that's not a good dream catcher. And most plastic dream catchers are just rubbish anyway. And it should be a bead made of glass or wood or something natural. That one is made of glass. And I also got some duck feathers from a duck that was in our yard, and I didn't kill it myself because I don't do that, but my mom did, and I got those feathers. I cleaned the feathers. I removed any negative energy from the feathers. There wasn't any negative energy in those feathers, to be fair. Not that I felt, and I feel it really intensely. Believe it or not, again. And I tied it as well. I tied them, rather. And I smudged it, which is a process where you like say some words and ask for protection from the evil, from the bad dreams, from the spider deity, and you throw incense smoke at it, usually sage or lavender or anything that you find important. In this case, I had incense that was exactly sage and lavender, and I used that. It's actually usually people just burn those leaves, but yeah, I remove any negative energy from the incense sticks as well. There wasn't any either. Um, and I smudged it, and as I was doing that, another spider came crawling to the web, and that night I was having a nightmare, and as that was happening, huge spider appeared in the dream, in the nightmare in this case, and just squashed the bad things, and looked at me, and then walked away, and the dream flipped and became a normal dream. And since then, I haven't had any nightmares, and they were recurrent because I have PTSD. Yeah, so this has been a very long vlog. It's kind of a podcast at this point. Yeah, well, this is my hair when I shower, and don't sleep on it, and you'll see how it looks tomorrow. But yeah, anyway, I'll be turning off the recording, and I'll post this in the evening. Even though I'm recording this in the afternoon. And yeah, this has been Silver the Whack with a very long vlog because I didn't get to do the things that I wanted to do, and this was a mess all around. Yeah, enjoy listening to this, friend, and maybe looking at what I'm doing when I say that I'm doing things. Yeah, but I will be back, and that's a threat. At this point, it's really a threat because long videos. But yeah, that's it. Bye bye.